It's time to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Once again. Where have I been to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! The past couple weeks? Maybe because of Easter my job was working me really hard? Maybe I just partied too hard from St. Patrick's Day. Who's to say? But we are here to talk about the thing that this entire story arc has been building to. The duel nobody asked for and no one would have missed if it never happened. The duel between Yuya and Jack Atlas. And let me just tell you, yeah, it was pretty good. These past 3 episodes have been very interesting in the sense that it's really got me thinking about the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Structures its story arcs and how it presents everything. Really, from the minute the duel started, I was scratching my head, kind of wondering if this arc was really necessary, especially seeing the direction all 3 of it goes. But first up, let's start off with the actual duel itself. It is very well done. I like the fact that it wasn't as standard as I think a lot of us were expecting. I think a lot of us expected once Nirvana High Paladin was revealed to us, I think we all just thought he would win with that. Hell, not this week's, but last week's episode even had Nirvana High Paladin in the title, but that was actually a bait and switch. Yes, Nirvana High Paladin is essentially the reason Yuya won, but I like the idea that he had to use all aspects of his deck. He had to use the power of the pendulum scales, the power of the Performer Pals, and Odd Eyes' effect to bring Jack down. And I like the fact that Jack didn't just go about the duel in the generic fashion. Yes, he did it in a very Jack Atlas style of going Red Dragon Archfiend, but I thought once Yuya used the unicorn thing this episode, that would be the end of it. But no, Jack had a strategy, he had a countermeasure, and something that would have worked had Yuya not been able to just call upon everything. I also like that Smile World served a nice purpose. It's good to see a card that means so much to Yuya get played and actually be relevant. And the biggest thing I enjoy about this duel is that Jack's reason for calling Yuya out on his dueling style wasn't just, you need more experience or you need to get stronger. It genuinely is a fundamental flaw Jack sees with the way Yuya duels. Yuya constantly says he's dueling for his father or trying to be like his father, but Jack does bring up a good point that, well, Yuya, you need to do your own style, you need to develop your own way and be independent for yourself. I liked watching that play out, and I like seeing Yuya question himself throughout it, and I like that the way Yuya does win, again, requires him to use all aspects of his own dueling, not just trying to be like his father, although I do wish we saw how Yuya's father did in fact duel so I could get an idea what his style was. We keep hearing Yuya talk about his father's duel style, but we really don't know what that is. Again, entertainment dueling, you need to be fun and exuberant because that's the concept. That doesn't really tell me what Yuya's father was as a duelist or even who he was as a person. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeo, we got a whole episode where we learned what Yuma's father was and we could understand that relationship and why it affects Yuma as he becomes a teenager. In this, we don't really see much of Yuya's dad. In fact, I kind of forget half the time that Yuya's father is supposed to be missing. For the most part, it's kind of just, there's all this stuff going on, and occasionally we get into Yuya's story arc, and I am glad we got a focus of it, but again, I felt like maybe we could have done this a little bit different. We could have maybe had more of a dynamic between Yuya and Jack. Again, I like the way Jack was done here. I like that it wasn't reliant on you seeing 5Ds, but you could still see how it is the same character. But I do wish we went into that a bit more. And while we're on the subject, that does get into sort of my main complaint here. And that's that, so apparently the whole uprising, destruction of the city, beating and murdering of people is over because of the duel. Okay, at its core, this just executed itself the most generic way possible. Again, even in 5Ds, I knew that once Yusei beat Jack, that was going to start changing the city, and that did execute itself fairly by the numbers. But the difference there was that was the main focus of the series, and I was sort of hoping this would try and do something a little bit different. The thing is that in 5Ds, nothing was at the physical violence level. Everything was hatred and bigotry and the roles we force each other to be in. But here, there's flat-out violence. We murdered a major character because of it. And the thing is, we saw the destruction, we saw children crying, we saw that Shinji was willing to kill Crow for getting in his way. And when Jack actually did say the violence and bloodshed, that really made me feel unsettled. It's one thing when in a show like this you have this insanity going on. It's another thing when it's addressed. It's like in Zale. Most likely, a lot of people die at the end of Zale. But the thing is, we never go into it and it's never a focus, so it never affects me that much. Same in like Avengers or Man of Steel. I haven't seen Batman v Superman. I'm actually seeing that tonight. But the thing is that when you directly say it just makes it feel more real. You can always make the argument that those buildings were empty, people evacuated, but when you're flat out saying there's violence and bloodshed, and when the characters, and this becomes a reality within their world, you enter a new level, and I think you need to make that the forefront and address it, and in reality, this didn't do that. It is very much, oh, we're watching a duel, so we're all going to be friends and we're going to be happy. Even though basically Yuya's been turned into the public eye of being sort of a figurehead for the city anyways. And now the council's like, screw it. We're just going to let you guys do whatever you want, even though that's kind of what got us in this mess by letting Roger do whatever he wanted. It just sort of felt like we need this over by a certain point. It even makes me wonder if the whole point to next week's episode being an hour long is just to get through it, just so we can get through this arc and into the Xyz dimension, because we're kind of running out of time here. Arc 5, I'm really wondering how much longer it's going to go. How long will we be in the Xyz dimension? And did this arc really need to be as long as it did? Because now I'm really starting to feel the time here. And again, it's just sort of like all this violence and much. It's like, nope. We saw a duel. We're all happy. We're all friends. Now we're totally just going to forget the fact that we were just 5 minutes ago destroying a whole city. It's over. We're all happy. We're all friends now. Crow and Shinji are back to being buddies. And I just felt like, no, this needed to be done differently. I assumed the way this arc would end with the fusion dimension would invade, destroy everything, and then Reiji would manipulate everything to maybe look like the council was responsible, or something to maybe grow his army or anything like that. But as far as I can tell, I don't even know if Jack and Crow are going to be in this anymore. And again, it just make me wonder, was this all to a certain extent filler, or what happens here? Look, maybe next week's 1 hour special, it's just 1 hour because there's a lot they got to get done, and maybe that will rectify everything and fix everything and bring everything to a logical conclusion. I'm just not sure where to go from here. And finally, the other thing that's been going on, Roger. Oh my god, he's been such a delight to watch these past 3 episodes. Clearly the writers have given up on trying to make him seem dark and intimidating and have just gone for crazy, over the top, and ridiculous. Oh my god, is it fun. Just the way the actor's doing it, the animation, those freaking bug eyes. It's just great fun. It's ridiculous. It's silly. Every time he's on screen, he's just so engaging to watch, even now that he's gone crazy. I like him and Yuzu's back and forth. Again, any scene with Yuzu in it has got me interested for one of several reasons. And I just enjoyed seeing that. And again, I love seeing characters like that and their downfall. And I like seeing that, no, he was just a manipulative coward and he is going to go back. But even at that, when him and Reiji start doing, first up, it's really rushed. Everything was building up to Yuya versus Jack, but then it's just over and back to the main plot, and now Reiji's dueling Roger, and Roger's just playing another ancient gear deck. I was hoping Roger would have some new fusion deck. I know that the only thing that's been revealed is the Metal Face, which is a pendulum deck, but I was expecting him to have something more interesting than just what we've been seeing for the past 30 plus episodes from Fusion Dimension people. Hell, Serena has weird cat fetish furries. Why can't he have something interesting? And the other guy's got the Panther Warrior thing. I just felt that there's more you can do here, and it just sort of feels like we're running out of time, and it needs to all just keep going, and I don't know. I still had a good time, and even though it was dumb, I still had a smile on my face the whole time the crowds were coming. We keep seeing Yuya question himself and wonder about his ethics and debate if entertainment duel is the way to go. It is kind of fun to see him get rewarded for 5 minutes, if only for a couple of minutes. And him and Jack's back and forth after the duel was funny to watch. But I don't know. It was a lot of build-up, and I think this is going to be one of those story arcs that every Yu-Gi-Oh fan will be debating for years to come, but I can't ignore the fact that I had a good time watching the duel. I had a good time watching Roger, and the scenes when we did focus on the violence of the city were great to watch. Does it all come together? We'll have to see where this goes. But what did you think? In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on this week's episode and this whole arc in general. And as for the TCG question of the week, Nirvana High Paladin. What do you guys think? Is this card insane? Is it too broken? Is it just sort of a mediocre gimmicky card? Could you see this being a top tier card in, like, say, Pepe or anything like that? What do you think of that card? And as always, click to like and click to subscribe because we've got an hour to talk about next week.